Alrighty, we're gonna get started. It is my favorite day. Oh no, not my favorite day. I guess my favorite day is Friday. My other favorite day is Monday, and I like Tuesdays because we do these Facebook Lives, podcasts. If you're listening to the podcast and you're like, how do I get to hear these when they're actually happening? You got to be in the Facebook group, empoweredman.co/group, and you will be able to come in here live. Sometimes I do, talk with you guys and answer questions in a chat, or sometimes I'll bring guys on and do a little coaching. But if you're in that situation where you can join, you have that opportunity. You just got to go to our Facebook group and join. It's free, empoweredman.co/group, and you can jump in there, hop on these calls when I do them live every Tuesday morning, Pacific time, and love to have you in. Today, our focus is on emotions. I talk to a lot of guys every single day of the week who are emotional. Now, there's nothing wrong with being emotional. In fact, I would say that most men, the reason they're so emotional is because they've been told not to be emotional. And so we kind of are in this place where when we're going through painful things, we can do a lot of stuff with our emotions. We can shut down our emotions, meaning where we just try to pretend like it's not bothering us. One of my clients actually just posted about this morning, where he was talking about how he was painting a room or something like that. And it really just been avoiding his heart, avoiding his emotions, and suddenly tears started to flow. And it was a powerful experience for him. And really, it's almost confusing or confounding because you're like, I'm just painting a room. Like, why all of a sudden am I crying? And it's because your heart is finally getting access to you, and you are allowing your heart to be honest with itself. Because I don't know if most of you guys probably don't realize this, but we lie to ourselves constantly. We are constantly lying to ourselves, and it's our ego at play because our ego's job is to protect us. But what happens is when the ego fails at doing its job, it's not protecting us anymore, it's hurting us, right? That you've heard the saying, your ego is not your amigo. I've done tons of training if you go back in 2022, 2023 on the how your ego is destroying your marriage, how your ego is destroying you, and how ego keeps us from having the life that we really want. And while ego can protect you, it can also hurt you. And so what happens is we put up these barriers, we put up these walls, and we just don't be emotional. So a lot of guys, there's two different types of guys I usually talk to in these situations when you're going through separation divorce. The one guy tries to be almost like stoic about it, or he just completely shuts down and ignores it and ignores everything that's happening. And then when you start posting truth and and projecting truth to him and like going, hey, well, what about this and what about that? And they're like, oh my gosh, I never really thought of it that way. And they start to access emotion that they didn't have before because, well, they didn't know how to deal with it. And this is what I find a lot in the work I do, over 3,000 men I've worked with in the last 5 years. And what I found is a lot of men just don't have a grid for emotions. They don't know how to deal with emotions. So when our wives come to us with these big emotions, these scary emotions, she's mad at us, she's angry at us, she's sad, she's crying, she's all these things. That's how we talk. We go, she's sad, I need to fix her. She angry, I need to calm her. Right. And that's how we approach things. And a lot of that has to do with even how we related to our mothers growing up and how our mothers came to us with their emotions. Were they safe and stable in their own emotions, or did they come and dump their emotions on us, making us feel like as little boys, like we had to be their protector or their savior? And that's where you would then end up with a relationship with a woman where you are protecting and saving her because you basically did the same thing with your mom. So it's all confounded. Like we do and repeat the same things. We're creatures of habit. If you were married to a woman like that, you were probably, your mother was probably like that. I don't want to get into even like the counseling psychology standpoint, but just knowing that when we were raised as young boys, that's where we learn emotion. We learn what to do with emotions. Some of us, when we were hurt, our fathers told us, suck it up, don't cry. One of my favorite movies of all time, not favorite movies of all time, that's probably one of my favorite scenes probably from a movie. There was this movie called The Kid, and it was a Disney movie back in 2000. I think it was 2000. And it wasn't like a highly popular movie. Bruce Willis was in it. And this other kid named Spencer or something, I can't remember his name. He was a kid actor at the time. And it was all about this guy who was basically an image consultant, and he helped people with their image. He helped them, be more successful as politicians, be more successful as, whatever, all these different types of things. And he was kind of that typical ego alpha type wannabe man. And I call wannabe because I don't really think there's that many alphas as they say they are. But where he's just like, I'm this cool guy. I don't have any problems. And there was these different scenes where he'd be talking to people and like this one politician that she'd messed up or whatever, and she's like crying, and he'd start going, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's the wambulance." And he was making fun of her emotions. He was making fun of the vulnerability that she was sharing and how she was being like sad and depressed and all this stuff. And he like making fun of her. And how many of you probably did that to some aspect to your wife? Like, it's not a big deal, honey. It's not a big deal you're experiencing this. It's not a big deal. Why are you making a big deal out of it? Like, why are you having these emotions? Just calm down. Just calm down. And you say that to her, which is like one of the worst things you could say to a woman. My wife told me, if you ever tell me to calm down, I swear I will come at you. Now, she would never hurt me, but like, just that anger, because it's like, don't tell me to calm down. Like I'm experiencing emotions right now, and it's okay. Like a woman to experience emotion and cry or be angry or be sad or like all those things, like they feel safe enough to share those emotions with you. What happens is men don't know how to process that. Why? Because we weren't taught how to process it. We weren't taught how to deal with these emotions. We weren't taught healthy ways of allowing another human to have an emotional experience and for us to show up for them in a healthy way. So what happens is they come to us with this big emotion and we shut down. Or they come to us with this big emotion and we got to fix. They come to us with this big emotion and we don't know what to do. And we just kind of go, how many of you had that? I had that many times, especially in my last marriage, where my wife would start to accuse me of something. She'd start to say something. She'd be angry at me, and paralysis would come over my body. And if you ever feel that, if you ever feel like you don't know what to say, and like she's doing this, she's saying this, and all this, and you just feel that paralysis, that's called trauma. See, trauma is trapped in your body. Trauma is literally in your cells until you deal with it, until you process it. Now, my current wife, if she gets upset with me, I can pause. I can reflect on what she's saying. I can be present with her emotions. I can be present with my emotions. I can start to go, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling offended? Why am I feeling offended? What's actually occurring inside of me? I can look under the hood real quick and I can diagnose the problem. How many of you ever seen, there's always that redneck type of thing. I grew up in the South. It's like, how many rednecks does it take to fix a car? Well, it depends on how many beers you got, right? It's like everybody stands around the car and they got the hood up and there's like, cases of Budweiser around and they're all just like looking at it. Well, no, I think if you do that over here, I think if you do this over here, and like men just go into fix it mode instead of really processing like what is happening, because that's what we do, right? Like as soon as she has some sort of smoke coming out of her engine, pop that hood. We got to look and see what's going on. We got to understand the problems. We can diagnose the problem. And here's the thing: is your wife doesn't want to be diagnosed. Your wife doesn't want to be diagnosed from you, and so here's what happens is, as she comes to you with this problem, she comes to you in these emotions, she comes to you in all this stuff, and then you don't know how to deal with it, so you fire back in emotion. You maybe get angry, like, baby, let's fix it, let's solve the problem, right? She comes to you and says, I don't want to be married to you. So you go, let's solve the problem, let's fix the problem. And she's like, you can't just fix the problem because you're the fucking problem. Now, okay, there's times where the women obviously are the problem. There's women that cheat. There's all those types of things. But generally speaking, when it comes to these relationships and these emotions, it's like she's been sharing emotion with you for years, and it's been like a brick wall. Again, two different types of guys. One type of guy, super non-emotional, super like almost stoic, if you will, in his approach. And in doing so, he cuts off emotional connection with her because he doesn't know how to emotionally connect. And then you have the other side, the other type of guy who's super emotional. Every time she gets emotional, he becomes emotional. This was me. I would become either super offended, I'd become super upset, super sad, whatever, based upon my wife's emotions. That's called codependency. And so the more codependent I was on her, her emotions became my emotions. So therefore, whatever she felt is what I felt. Why? Because I grew up that way. That's the way my dad was. And because when my dad was angry, I had to be angry or I had to be sad, because if he was that way, then I had to be that way. And that's how I related to my parents. It's how I related to the world. So therefore, when I got into a relationship, guess what? I find somebody who's toxic. I find somebody who does the same kind of shit, who is emotionally abusive and emotionally disconnected. And then I go, oh, this is normal. This is healthy. This is what it's supposed to be like. This is what marriage is like. Because that's all I knew. That's all I'd seen. And so I didn't have a way to process my emotions. So instead of me processing, I would take her emotions. She would give me emotion. I'd be like, yeah, take it. Why? Because I'm going to prove that I'm a man. I'm going to prove that I can love you through all this hard shit, this toxic stuff, this emotional boxing. And I'm like, yes, yes. I'll put my hands behind. Just keep punching me. Keep punching me. Why? Because I believe that I deserve to be punched. I believe that I deserve to take this kind of beating because I don't know who I am. I don't know my value. And so all of this comes back to the fact that men are emotional, but we don't want to show it. Men are emotional, but we don't know what to deal with it. We don't know how to deal with it. We don't know what to do with it. And so we have to unpack the difference between emotion and feeling. We have to get to this place because there is a difference between what you are having an emotion and what you are feeling. If you think about it, it's like the emotions you're having are like the check engine light, right? So when that check engine light is coming on, that is the thing that you've got to go, okay, there's something happening. I'm feeling angry. I'm crying. I'm lashing out at people. I'm kind of just paralyzed. I don't really feel anything. Like, why is that? And I've got to get under the hood to understand what it is I'm actually feeling. I Yesterday was Monday, it was Labor Day, and I don't know about you guys, but on Monday on Labor Day, most people sleep in. Most people, just want to kind of hang out and whatever. My family, we had plans to do some cool. We have this place in Phoenix called Andretti's. It's like a race car thing. Really, really fun place. We've never been before, and we were planning on going in the afternoon. So my wife said, "What's your plan in the morning?" Well, I had coffee with my mom at 6:30, and then I had gym at 8 o'clock. You go, dude, it's Labor Day. Why are you going to the gym? Well, because I fucking work out. It's who I am. It's what I do. I go to the gym 5 days a week. It's not to brag to you. It's to brag to myself. I'm proud of myself that I'm doing that. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I love it. I love it because it's become part of my identity. And so, yeah, there's times I take days off. Like when we go on vacation for a week, I didn't go to the gym for a week, but I did a lot of, walking and bike riding and things like that. I do exercise when I can't go to the gym. But like, I didn't feel like going to the gym. It was Monday, it was Labor Day. Like, who feels like going to the gym on Labor Day? I sure as hell didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning so I could have coffee with my mom first at 6:30 and then go work out at 8. I didn't feel like doing that. And I also had to do a little bit of work as well. I didn't feel like doing any of those things, but I did it. Why? Because I understand it's my identity. I understand that I can't always be led by my emotions. I can't be led by, well, I'm tired. I don't have to work out today. I'm sore as fuck right now from yesterday's workout. I probably got one of my best workouts in a while because I had extra time. I didn't have to be back for a meeting or anything like that. I got to actually stay for a full hour or whatever. I got in some really good stuff, and my son was with me. And guess what? So my son is 12 years old. He's starting to hit the gym a little bit, starting to work on some form. So it's like I was able to accomplish something for myself. I was able to accomplish something as a dad, and I was a leader in that. I led him. I led myself in something that maybe I didn't feel like doing. So you go, well, Mark, if you didn't feel like doing it, why did you do it? Because it's not about what I feel, it's about who I am. So this comes back to this premise that, you're emotional because you don't know who the fuck you are. You're emotional because you haven't dealt with your feelings. You haven't dealt with what's going on. There's a website that we take our clients to called feelingswheel.com. And in the feelings wheel, there's this big wheel of emotions. And underneath those emotions, you get to the feelings. So if I look at, this feelings wheel, I might see that I'm angry or whatever, but I want to see what's underneath that anger. And so as I dive out of it, you can look it up yourself. I might feel let down. I might feel humiliated. I might feel bitter. I might feel mad. I might feel aggressive. I might feel frustrated. I might feel distant. I might feel critical. And so underneath that anger, I want to cut and go, well, which of those words really do I feel? And I go, maybe I feel humiliated. If I really think about it, I feel humiliated. Okay. Well, what's under humiliation? Man, I feel disrespected or do I feel ridiculed? If my wife was cheating on me, and when my wife did cheat on me, I would feel disrespected. I would feel hurt in so many ways. But one of the things I would feel is disrespected. I might feel some other things. I might feel sad, and so that sad might be lonely, isolated, abandoned, victimized, vulnerable, fragile. I feel victimized. And see, as I get to understanding what I'm feeling and not just allowing the emotions to rule my day, to rule who I am, I can then acknowledge them. And when I've acknowledged them, I can honor them. This is a huge thing men don't do. Part of the reason you were stuck where you were stuck at is because you don't know how to acknowledge and honor your fucking feelings. You don't know how to just go, this is what I feel, and that's okay. It's okay. Dude, you're angry, but go deeper. Don't just be angry. Oh, you're sad. Okay, but go deeper. Understand what's below the emotion. See, we respond out of our emotion, but really what we're trying to do is we're trying to communicate a feeling because of what we feel. It's kind of like if you yell at somebody, you're trying to communicate an emotion of anger, right? And so we like yell to get our point across. But what is it we're actually feeling underneath that? This is so important because once we understand that, we get to slow down and we get to articulate. So right now, like with my current wife, she might say something that could be hurtful to me. And so, years ago, when my ex-wife situation, I would get offended. And so now I have this practice. So if my wife says something to me that's like out of hand or out of line, or she's frustrated, or she says something that's like really not kind, I'll say, "Ow, that kind of hurt. That was hurtful. I don't think you meant to hurt me, but that hurt." And then she's like, "Oh, I wasn't trying to hurt you, but I can see how that would hurt you." Yeah, it did. And it made me feel like disrespected when you said that. Oh my gosh, honey, that wasn't my plan. I wasn't trying to make you disrespected, but I could see where you're coming from. And some of you are like, "Oh, that's so far-fetched. That doesn't happen." Guys, it fucking happens when you lead. When men lead, when men know how to articulate their feelings and emotions, women follow. Because emotional language, feelings language is the language of women. It is the language of women, not physical, not sexual, not all this other bullshit, not anger. It's emotion. It is feeling because that's what they live by. Just like men, we are visually wired, right? We see a 10 with some killer tits and a nice ass, and we're like, "Oh, fuck yeah, I'd love to fuck the shit out of that girl." Blah, 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 right? Because we're so visually wired. With women, has nothing to do with the physical. It's everything to do with what he represents in his emotion. Yeah, there's a physical side. Yes, women do get turned on by men's physical things, but underneath it, it's mostly 95% probably emotional. This is why women that cheat with men, they're ugly. And you go, "Well, what the hell? This guy's a loser. He makes no money. He has no like why him?" Because he knew how to listen to her. He knew how to hear her. He knew how to make her feel special, knew how to make her feel sexy, knew how to make her feel all the things that she was missing from you because he could emotionally connect with her. It's fucking wrong. It's fucking sick that that shit happens on her part, on that guy's part. But here's the thing: is while I will never blame you for your wife's cheating, I will never blame a man for what has happened there. I will go, dude, what have you been doing at home? How much did you pursue your wife? How much emotion did you give her? How much love, like true love, not like dick love, like actual love, did you give her? Because if you don't know how to love you, guarantee you can't love her. If you don't know how to honor your own emotions, your own feelings, you can't give her that same thing. And that is the biggest disconnect I see. Is so many guys will come to me and they'll tell me their problem, they'll tell me their situation, and always almost comes down to this. They didn't emotionally connect with their wives. And they can't emotionally connect with their wives because they can't emotionally connect with themselves. It's easy when you guys are on the same page and everything's great and everything's hunky dory. And man, she looks great and you look great. And you smell good. She smells good. And sex is amazing. And like you have a couple days of that or a couple weeks, a couple months of that. But when shit starts getting hard, when the fucking water heater, like our water heater just went out last night. That's like a $5,000 thing. Great. That's when shit starts to go, okay, well, stress, right? Anxiety. We have 7 kids. Dude, anxiety happens every fucking day. We got co-parenting situations. My ex-wife lives in Georgia, doesn't see my kids at all. We have to do a phone call once a week with her. It's bullshit. I hate it. That causes tension and like all the tensions. It's the little foxes that spoil the vine. It's these little things that add up. And then suddenly you go from having this emotionally full bank account to withdrawals in the negative. And how many of you know that after over time, you keep hitting that negative in the bank account, guess what happened? They closed in that account. They're closing that account. And that is what happened to most of you. Your wife said, you know what? Too many withdrawals, not enough deposits. I'm out. I can't do this anymore. Because you emotionally didn't know how to connect. You didn't emotionally know how to do this. So this work I'm talking about is like one of the most important things you could ever do. We teach this concept in Empowered Man in the Thrive program called the 5-dimensional man. That's you as a man, you as a leader, you as a lover, you as a producer, and you as a father. That's the 5 dimensions. But the man part, the internal and external world, your internal being, your emotional being, your spiritual being, and your physical being, what you put in your body, what your exercise, your adventures you live, the clothes you put on your body, like those two things, the internal, external world, is the linchpin for the rest. It is literally the linchpin and the lead train for everything else you do in your life. So you might be the greatest business guy ever. And you've been able to get so far because like you've got a sense for business. But if really push comes to shove, you're an asshole manager. People don't like fucking working for you. Maybe the outcome is great and you make a lot of money, but if that's the true measure of success, well, you're fucked anyways. Because what's the point of being a billionaire and everybody hates you? And I don't have a problem with billionaires. I love billionaires. I'm not one of these guys that like has a problem with money. But like so many business people just absolutely crush it, and they're crushing people in the process. And they're not good leaders. They're not good managers. People hate fucking working for them. They've got codependent, toxic relationships with all their employees. And they go, oh, I'm good as a producer. I'm good. Like, what makes you good? Well, I make a lot of money. I don't give a fuck if you make a lot of money or not. The fact is, you're an asshole, and people don't like you. And you do that on purpose because you can't handle being vulnerable with people because again, you don't love yourself. And so you use business as your mask for covering up who you really are. And you're really just an insecure little boy. And until you get over that shit, you'll continue to be that. You'll continue to drive people out of your life. You'll continue to be lonely, continue to have no relationships in your life because that's who you are and that's how you operate. And if you want to be that kind of man, well, so be it. But you're not going to be my friend. You're not going to be a guy I'm around because you just won't live in my world. I will convict you and you will just not like me very much because I believe that people should love people, period. And yes, there are times in business where you have to be an asshole, and there are times you have to be hard. I've fired many, many people. I hate doing it. I've had many people cry and all that shit. At the end of the day, though, people love working for me. People love me because I want to live this life, emotional connectedness. Now, we don't always see eye to eye, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, people know that I love them. People know that I respect them and honor them. But that comes because I love and honor and respect myself. So this final point that you have to get is you have to give yourself permission to feel in these moments. So many of you don't give yourself permission to feel. You try to like white knuckle it, like, no, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to feel this. I'm not going to feel this, and hope it'll just go away. Kind of like you got to take a shit, and if you just squeeze long enough, it goes away, and you don't have to take a shit anymore. But that's what we do emotionally. Like emotionally, we have fucking diarrhea, and we're trying to hold it in. And you've got all this diarrhea that's just like in you and it's trying to come out of you. And you're like, no, 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 I'm not going to let it come out. And then you do. And it's like, and you're like on the fucking emotional toilet for like hours because you can't stop shitting everywhere. Diarrhea of the mouth, diarrhea of the ass, because that's just fucking who you are. And it's why? It's because you have no control over those emotions. Why don't you have control of the emotions? Because you have no grid for it. And when you have no grid for it, this is what you do. You shit everywhere. You shit on people. You shit everywhere. And so we have to fix that. So Mark, how do I fix it? You do this process. You start to unpack. What is the difference between my emotion and my feeling? Use the feelings wheel, right? That's the first part. The second part, acknowledging and honoring your feelings. I feel disrespected. Hey, Mark, it's okay that you feel disrespected. Tell yourself this. Self-talk is important. You already talk to yourself anyways. You're not weird. Everybody does it. Everybody talks to themselves maybe in their head. Maybe they don't say it out loud, but say it out loud. Hey, Mark, it's okay that you're upset right now. Mark, it's okay that you feel disrespected right now. You can be angry and sin not. You can have anger, but you don't have to do something bad about it. You can use it in a productive way. Man, I feel disrespected. Okay, cool. I feel disrespected. I'm going to honor that feeling. I feel disrespected when this happens. Okay. Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah. And then when you can communicate it, I feel disrespected when you speak to me in this way. Now you're speaking the language of woman. Now you're speaking in her language and her way of doing it. Man, I hope you guys aren't missing this. This is fucking pure gold here. I'm just giving you everything. Like, this is pure gold. You are speaking now in a woman's language, which is, I feel disrespected when you speak to me that way. How many of you know that when you talk to her that way, 95% of the time, because I know there's always that percentage of women that are just so fucking toxic, they can't even like communicate in any type of way other than their own toxic way. I get that. But 95% of the time, I would say there is a possibility she'd go, wow, thank you for sharing that. I never realized that made you feel that way. I never, I wasn't trying to do that, but I could see how that would make you feel that way. And even if she's not willing to in the moment, just the fact that you honored your feelings. Guess what it does, guys? It's called self-love. This is so important. Don't miss this. This is why this is important. This isn't about saving your marriage. This isn't about saving your relationship. This is about you loving yourself. If a man can love himself, he can love his wife. If a man can love himself, he can love his kids. If a man can love himself, he can love his business. He can love his employees. He can love his God. Because that's what happens when we start to love ourselves. Loving ourselves looks like honoring and acknowledging our feelings. Because nobody has ever done that for you. Most men I talk to, that never happened. Maybe their mom did, and so maybe they kind of lean towards being a mama's boy because their mom acknowledged those feelings. But as they got older, they started to shut that part of themselves down. They started to sort of go, well, I can't live that way because I'm not a girl. I can't, whatever, right? And so they basically have to pretend. They have to live a mask. How many of your buddies, if you just look on the outside, right? We're all drinking, like we had watched college football this weekend, right? Like you just watch everybody. I'm an observer. I stand back and I watch, and it's like pain, 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 pain. Every fucking guy in there, in a bar, in a whatever, like at a church, doesn't matter where you're at, every man is in pain. Some men deal with it and some men don't. And the men who don't, they continue to live this veiled life. They continue to live a life without vulnerability, continue to live a life of just like keeping the wool over their eyes because they don't want to deal with it. They don't feel like they have a grit to deal with the real pain that's going on inside, the abandonment, the rejection of the world, of their parents, of their wives, the cheating, the trauma, all the shit. So what do? We mask it. We drown it out in football and beer and girls and drugs and whatever the fuck we do is our vice. Trust me, I love football, fantasy football, soccer. I'm all that shit. But it's not my thing to like make me feel valid in life. And so many men do that. They have nothing to live for. There is no purpose. There is no passion. And if that's your life, I feel fucking sorry for you. The third and final thing again is giving yourself permission. Giving yourself permission to feel, to feel. You can feel. You can give yourself permission to feel. You can deal with those emotions. You can journal it. You can go up to a mountain and scream. You can do whatever physically you need to do to deal with it, but be honest because that is the key that unlocks everything here, guys. You can't fucking lie to yourself. That would be the fourth thing. Stop lying to yourself. Stop lying about what you're feeling. Stop lying about what you're actually doing. Stop lying about the fact that you're trying to manipulate her. Stop lying about all the shit that's going on and be fucking honest. Gut level honest. Fucking truth serum honest. We don't have enough of that in the world. And because we don't have that, we don't have men who lead. You can't lead if you're fucking lying. You can try, but you lose your authority every fucking time you do. I want men with authority. I want men who lead. I want men who fucking like light their families on fire with freedom and love and passion. And their kids like love life. And their kids are doing great things in this world. I don't care if they're janitors or going to Yale. I don't fucking care what they do as long as they love life. Like, what else are we here for? To just fucking die? Have some fucking purpose. I'll leave you with this. I saw this movie last night. It's called It Ends With Us. And man, that fucking movie lit a fire into my ass. It's about a book, and it's about this woman who grew up in a domestic violence situation. And her parents, or her dad, beat the shit out of her mom constantly. And she hated him. She absolutely hated him. And he died in the movie. And she went to the funeral, and she was supposed to share like her thoughts on him. She wrote down a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She said, I'm going to share the 5 things that I loved about my dad. And it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and every single bullet was blank. She had no love for him. She had no love for him. You go, well, I'm not the abusive dad. I didn't beat the shit out of my mom or out of her mom or any of those things. No, but if you emotionally abandon your kids because you can't be emotional yourself, what relationship will you have with them when they're adults? What will they say about you at your funeral? They're gonna say, oh, he tried hard. He worked his ass off, made us a lot of money. Or, oh, he put food on the table. Is that all you're fucking good for? Is that all? I mean, fucking donkeys can do that. Fucking slaves can do that. You're more than a bread train, a meal. You're more than your work. Your identity is not that. You're more than your sexuality. You're more than your dick. There's so much more layers and levels to who you are if you choose to find it, if you choose to step into it, if you choose to go after it. The crazy thing about this movie was she ends up with another guy, or she ends up with a guy who's abusive, just like her mom. And she made the excuses. So her dad planted a seed of abuse in that family. She took that seed, attracted a man who would treat her just like her dad did. And that man was a narcissistic motherfucker. I wanted to come out. I literally physically had to restrain myself. I was so mad watching this guy because he was so good at being a narcissist. He was so good at manipulating her. He was so good at making her feel like it was her fault that he hit her, that he threw her down the stairs. Fucking get chills thinking about it. And I so desperately want men to be healed so they don't become like that. And not only so they don't become like that, but so their daughters don't marry trash like that. Because guess what, guys? I've got 4 daughters. And of those 4 daughters, they're looking to me how I treat their mom, how I am with her. And they're gonna go find men that are just like me. Even my stepdaughters, even though they've got a dad, they're also looking at me. And they're gonna go find men. And I've asked men this question before. Do you want your daughter to marry a man just like you? Are you the type of man you would want your daughter to marry? It's a hard question. Maybe your instant reaction is yes, but maybe you need to dig deeper. Maybe you need to really evaluate and look at who you are and who you've been and what you've done and how you've treated her, how you've treated your kids, how you've treated your wife, how you've treated yourself, because it all starts right here. Behavior modification, fuck all that. You don't need behavior modification. You don't need to change who you are. You need to heal who you've become. That's what I help men do. If you want more, I hate even like talking about this, but I've got a program. It's called our Thrive program. If you want to get on a call with me, we can talk about it. I'll put the thing in the chat here. My assistant will put it in there. I help men heal. This is what I do. I help men overcome their shit so they can become more empowered versions of themselves. This is fucking real. This is my life. This is what I live. Because I'm so passionate about helping millions of men become better men. Because I'm sick of seeing this world the way it is. This is so much deeper than fucking marriage and relationships. This is about men loving themselves. This is about men committing suicide. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of men seeing them take themselves out because they were so broken inside. They felt like they had nothing to live for. It destroys me. Because you are worth something. Somebody's listening to this right now and you are doubting your ability to be alive. You're doubting everything. And I'm telling you, you are worth something. You are worth more than trash. I don't care what your father told you. I don't care what your mother told you. I don't care what your wife has told you. You are not trash. There is more to you. But you got to believe it here. And you got to start right here and own your shit. That's all I got for you guys this week. It's emotional. It's hard. But you can do this. You've got what it takes. Own your shit. If you want help, reach out. We got you. Can't help every man, but I'll help the ones I can. I love you guys. See you.